The key ones is that often these sites are built to optimise internal processes. So this is the way our company is structured. This is the information we require to send out products and services. So this is the process you're going to have to go through as a customer to interact with us. Without really fully understanding how these customers are looking to interact with them and how they're interacting on other websites. So that tends to be a big problem where their users are forced to go through what they perceive as being unnecessary steps or unintuitive steps in the process, so it doesn't follow a logical flow for them and they don't get to interact in a way that makes sense to them. Another important one is really the desire to reinvent the wheel. So looking at their businesses as being unique and that they should do something that is and make customers interact with them in a unique and different way to stand out from the competition. And really what's important is to make sure their service stands out, but not necessarily reinventing a wheel, but by having a look at best practice online and understanding the paradigms that users are currently engaging with elsewhere and not understand. So when they come to this website, they see the flags, they understand the signposts and can move their way through intuitively without having to learn a new process, which they're not really generally prepared to do. So in terms of product display, that just simply having your products there is enough, that you need to offer the assistive tools in terms of photography, video, imagery, sizing, all those sorts of assistive tools to enable people to get a realistic touch and feel on what the product and service involves. People are competing, or this is competing with the offline stores, so they need to make it convenient, but also they need to provide an experience online which is satisfactory enough for a person to want to purchase the product or service. One of the big ones is really delivering on the principle of convenience. So why would people transact with you online, or in a mobile sense versus going to a store? And I think if you're not providing that convenience, there's no point. So it is really competing with offline purchasing. So making sure that you're providing a better experience. So rather than making people travel a distance to go and look at your products and services, to quickly and easily see what you have available online is great, to showcase it in a way that is really encouraging for people. Comparative analysis is really important as well, to understand what your competitors are doing. But when I say competitors, it doesn't necessarily mean if you're in retail and you're in fast-moving consumer goods, it doesn't mean that you can't look at other forms of other lines of business and understanding what best practice is there, because often we can adopt, and Usability One, we look at paradigms that exist in completely different spaces to say, well, here's a way in which an organisation has met a customer need. And to look beyond the square. So don't just look at your competitors, look beyond that and see what sort of tools and assistive tools and design and services that we can look to incorporate to provide a better customer experience. Some of the key aspects, and we touched on this a little bit already, is around information architecture and search. Mission critical that they get those right. So making sure that we've got the appropriate signposting, that you've got an intuitive search that returns results that people know and expect, so that they can find what they're looking for quickly and easily is really mission critical. If you don't have those in place, you've got very little chance of reaching your potential. Customers change, and your customer today may not be your customer tomorrow. You may have a whole new set of customers. So keeping up to speed and on board and knowing who they are and what they want and how they're interacting with you and how they're interacting with other sites is really important to make sure you're tailoring your site and your services to meet their needs. Just because other people are doing it, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you, and it doesn't mean that you can simply just replicate what other people are doing. It's certainly a big advocate to do some comparative analysis to see what other organisations or other retailers are doing. Simply just copying that and thinking that will work for you is not quite right. You really need to understand how your audience are going to interact with you. So if they're buying cosmetics, it's very, very different to buying apparel. or very different to buying groceries. So, and the paradigms that people have within their mind as to what they need as they're buying products and services really does vary. To be honest, I think Australia does lag a little behind in the retail space. I can cite quite a few international examples. I mean, look, Threadless does a great job of product display and sizing. One Australian site that does do well that we've tested recently is General Pants does a reasonable job of product display, for example, and we did some research on that recently. Also did some work on Sports Girl, which received a favourable response. Dotty the work that we did with Dotty showed a really effective. We were able to help them to adjust their social media strategy and their interaction with Facebook. And if you have a look at the Dotty site, you can see how that's working at the moment. But some of the areas are certainly product display. Oxfam, it's not retail, it's charity, but we've done quite a lot of work with them in terms of their purchase funnel, so making it as quick and intuitive and as easy as possible, and we're able to double their conversion rate by making some rather simple changes to their form fields, and so that's resulted in millions of dollars of increased conversions. It tends to be that there's a lot of sites that have a snippet of really good elements, and I think that we're getting there in Australia. I think that we're starting to harness some of the potential, but that the work's really just begun, and that there's a lot of opportunity ahead.